Hey nerds, this is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Theories and Conspiracies. I'm Brian from Good Nerd Bad Nerd. So this week on the show we had the episode Patriot, and we learned a lot about Director Mace and his background and what he really is and what his powers really are. But before we get into that, just a quick correction from last week's video. This correction is thanks to a commenter, Hyperborean Colonialism. He pointed out that the visual effects supervisor for the show, Mark Kolpak, said that Vijay Nadir's abilities are not super speed, it's actually super reflexes and reaction. So based on that, obviously the Inhuman that I had originally suggested as a possibility, the Inhuman Drive, that no longer fits. But the second thing I said, I think still stands, that this is most likely a character that they have created just for the show, based on what we know at this point. So all that being said, thank you for the correction. I do check the comments, guys, but I just wanted to make sure I got that cleared up, and so that going forward we know that that is what his initial powers were, super reflexes and reaction. Moving forward, the next thing, we actually got a connection to the next Netflix shows. The bullet that was used to try and assassinate Director Mace was the same bullet that was used in Luke Cage. This is the bullet, I believe it was called the Judas bullet. It was used to penetrate Luke Cage's skin, so it's definitely geared towards killing someone that is enhanced, specifically with some sort of durability, or like in Luke Cage's case, some sort of steel skin. So that's nice. We've actually gotten a connection between Netflix and the ABC series. Now Netflix has obviously acknowledged the wider Marvel Cinematic Universe with the films, but there's never been a connection this way. So seeing that was nice. Hopefully it is just a promise of things to come, that we're going to see more things bleeding between the two, Netflix and ABC. But at this point, we don't really know. But that was just a nice little touch. They could have done anything there. They didn't have to use that specific bullet, but that was something that as soon as they showed it, everyone immediately knew who had seen Luke Cage where it was from. So that was great. Next, Director Mace. We finally learn who he is, really. We finally learn what the deal is with that picture and what his powers are. And I gotta say, I was really fooled with this. So Director Mace is not inhuman. He is a normal human that was just enhanced with this chemical cocktail. A chemical cocktail that we learn is from Mr. Hyde, that they've just kind of tweaked a bit. But that to be said, I didn't even think twice that that would still be an issue and they were just lying. The show is notorious for taking characters and changing their backgrounds, changing their origins to fit with the kind of live action world that has been created. So it didn't bug me that they had made an Inhuman, but this, I think, is just great storytelling. It was a lie. They wanted a powered individual. They didn't have one, so they made one. But then they created him as an Inhuman or they called him an Inhuman in order to kind of form a bond between the Inhumans emerging and S.H.I.E.L.D., kind of build some trust. It's very reminiscent of the current Uncanny Avengers storyline, their Unity Squad, where they have mutants, normal powered individuals, and Inhumans on it. So there's some parallels there that I think are pretty great. Now, the story we are actually learning about Mace is really closer to who he is in the comics. Just a normal guy. Obviously, this serum they gave him isn't from the comics, but they needed to have him powered. I get that for storytelling. But one of the things he did in the comics often was doing these big kind of radio broadcasts for propaganda and PR in order to kind of get people motivated during World War II. And that's kind of the same position we see him in at S.H.I.E.L.D. now. He is the face of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's the one who's out there giving the speeches, doing that public interaction. And that really is based off of who he was in the comics. Later on in the comics, he does fill in for Captain America at various points, but we're not going to see that. So what do you think about that? I mean, were you guys tricked, or is it not a big deal that there was a lie? I don't think it's a big deal. I thought it was really clever storytelling. So I like how they did that. I like how they evolved the character, and I like that he's now human. And we're learning about that even more based on that picture. He wasn't a hero, he just tripped. He just happened to be in that position when someone snapped a picture and it looked like he was a hero. So there's a lot of really interesting layers to that, and it's nice to know he's not perfect. He's a flawed individual. And he's now got the role that he is much more suited to, that public face, where Coulson is going to be really the one in charge. So looking forward to see what they do with Mace, and now that how that's out there and everyone knows, how that's going to change the dynamic on the team. And finally, May as an LMD, or as Marvel has started coining her on Twitter, LMD. They think it's pretty funny. But what is going to happen now that she has seemingly figured out there's something wrong with her? She has seen the metal under her skin. And what's going to happen? Will she go crazy? Will she ignore it? Will she try and get help thinking she's still May? Well, there's two options I see. Taking these from the comics. These are two LMD storylines that I think would fit in with what's happening nicely. And the first is actually a storyline involving a LMD for General Talbot. Nobody knew there was an LMD for General Talbot until he was actually destroyed by the Red Hulk. But how I see this playing out is that nobody is going to know. This May LMD is going to continue to hide herself. She's going to realize she's an LMD, but continue her primary goal of trying to get the Darkhold. But she's not going to reveal who she is until May escapes, shows up, and destroys this LMD herself. Plus, that fight would be pretty epic, to see May going up against her LMD, if we're still using that phrase, even though it's really hard to say. It doesn't roll off the tongue very easily. So that's one option. Now, the next option is they could adapt the storyline of Max Fury. Max Fury was a Nick Fury LMD that was essentially captured and reprogrammed by someone using the Scorpio key. And this was a key that was, the Zodiac key. It was a key that was used by Scorpio, that's why. But it essentially gave the LMD of Nick Fury life and gave him all of Nick Fury's memories. So it was a very dangerous individual. And what this LMD went around to doing is it tried to create its own shadow organization of the Zodiac, but as all androids. So what we could be seeing is that May, or the LMD, will try and create her own group of S.H.I.E.L.D. that are all LMDs. She might be doing this. She might try and get the Darkhold and use it to do that. The parallels there do actually work out, a mystical artifact that is being used to bring life to these androids in order to replace the main team. So what do you guys think? Do you think they're going to adapt any of these aspects from different storylines, or are they going completely unique with what they're doing with the LMDs? And what did you think of the Jeffrey Mace storyline? Did you like how it played out, and what do you think is going to be the fallout from it? So until next week, guys, this has been Brian from Good Nerd Bad Nerd, and this has been Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Theories and Conspiracies.